This is brought to you by the Kansas City Business Association, located at 1601 East 18th Street, Suite 200F.
What's up, Kansas City? I'm your host, Glenn Brian Frizzell. Today's special segment is brought to you by the Kansas City Business Association. Today we are filming in the administrative offices of the Metropolitan Community College. I'm in the office of Chancellor Mark James. The college has recently celebrated its centennial anniversary. We'll hear a little bit more about that from him. Welcome to the show, Chancellor James. It's a pleasure to have you on What's Up, Kansas City today.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate the invitation to visit with you.
Awesome. Let's talk about current news. I read recently today that a grant was given for manufacturing and machine programs here at the college, and that students are given a salary according to their GPA. Can you tell us a little bit more about this program?
Well, we have a number of grants. This is one of the more recent ones that is targeted to help get students certificates and training that will ultimately lead to good paying jobs. And in the course of their learning, while they have so many weeks of classroom instruction, there's also a paid internship where they're actually out in the workplace doing the work, reinforcing the work with their hands that they're learning the theory behind in the classroom.
And that's awesome. I would assume that will motivate students to want to bring those A's home because I know that a lot of internships do not pay, unfortunately. So that is a good motivating factor.
It is a good motivating factor, and our experience has been in similar programs like this that the businesses have quickly determined this to be a real win-win because it gives them kind of a sneak preview of future employees. And almost without exception, students in our programs really distinguish themselves in these internships, and the companies end up hiring them. In fact, our instructors tell us the companies are often calling, going, "When's that next class coming through? We have vacancies, and we know you produce a good product, and we need more workers."
Awesome. Let's talk about another issue, Chancellor James, if you wouldn't mind. Should community colleges be free? President Barack Obama addressed this during his State of the Union address. What is Metropolitan's community college stance on that?
Well, of course, we're very pro education, higher education, and we think it would be wonderful if all education were free. In fact, when the Metropolitan Community College started in 1915 as the Polytechnic Institute of Kansas City Polytechnic Institute. It actually was tuition free at that time, and that it was an outgrowth of the public school system at that point in time, out of the Kansas City Public School. So I know it's what we often hear from our students, the students who are in and out. They're in for a semester, they're out for a semester, they come back, and so forth. It's largely due to lack of funding, and they have to come and go. They have to work for a bit, save up some money, and then come back to class. So I think for a good number of students, not having to worry about tuition would definitely help overcome some obstacles for them to pursue their higher education.
And I know our guidance counselor, it's been a while since I was in public high school, Ruskin High School, but I know our guidance counselor did reach out to us, and Metropolitan was one of the community colleges that if you had a GPA, it was assumed that you could go to free, but you would have to do the work and maintain the GPA. Now at the time, I would like to ask you the question, is going to community college, and I did take classes when I was in high school, but is it an alternative to going to a university, or is it a road to going to a university?
It's both, really. It really depends on what the ultimate goal of the student is. There are some students that know that they're just not interested in a baccalaureate degree, and know that they're not interested in going to a university. But they can come to us and get either a certificate in a job field that's recognized that will result in a good paying job, or an associate's degree, a 2-year degree, where there are still many fields wide open with good paying jobs that only require that. So for those students, we're the perfect match. But for those students who know coming in that they want to go on and get a bachelor's degree or even a graduate degree, we offer a very good low-cost alternative for those first 2 years. Our tuition rate is about a third of the area universities, and all of our credits, all of our course credits, will transfer to any of the area universities. So we're really a good fit for either kind of student, depending on what their ultimate goal is.
Sounds neat there, Chancellor James. I just want to bring up the issue. What about students' reluctance? I won't be able to play sports there. What's your answer to community colleges not having sports? Is that a myth? Is that even
It
true?
is a myth. We have a lot of sports teams. We have just about every collegiate sport other than football. We don't have football, but we've got basketball, baseball, men and women's soccer, women's softball, volleyball. So we have a number of sports teams that have been very successful. We've won some national championships. And right now we have a number of former baseball players that either played for our Maplewoods team or our Longview team that are in the pros.
That's fascinating.
There are lots of sports opportunities here.
And that's enough to keep you busy. I do remember sitting on the baseball field, the baseball diamond field there at the Longview Community College. It's a very peaceful environment. Let's talk a little bit about currently what's going on. I logged online and I saw it's 100 years. Metropolitan Community College, you mentioned, has been here 100 years. What has the college been doing, Chancellor James, to celebrate the anniversary? You have some pretty prominent alumni.
We have a lot of prominent alumni. The show, we'd be here all day if I started going through the list of folks who've come through our doors. But in April, we celebrated our centennial with a big celebration honoring our probably our highest profile alumnus, and that is Mr. K, Ewing Kaufman. The only degree that Mr. Kaufman possessed came from this college.
Really?
And we're very proud of that. And we really think that he epitomizes the typical student that comes through MCC's doors, and we thought no one was more fitting, to honor at the 100th celebration than him. And then there's a whole host of, as you can see on our website, there's a lot of people, successful people occupying important positions here in Kansas City right now, including our mayor, our police chief, our fire chief, many CEOs of big companies, hospitals, engineering companies, and so forth, all got a start at MCC. So that was one part of it. Last week we celebrated on each of the 5 campuses with a birthday cake celebration, simultaneous, for our employees and our students to enjoy. We've been producing, our Public Information Office has been producing 100 stories, about 100 of our alums, and their video vignettes that we're posting on our website to help tell some of the interesting stories of people that have come through the doors. We've had a 2-time silver Olympic medalist was one of our students.
I think that's fascinating.
It is fascinating.
Now, what is the student interaction like with the faculty? What kind of interaction actually keeps your faculty busy? Do you recruit at select colleges? What are the requirements? Say I wanted to come here and teach. What would you look for?
Well, each of our full-time faculty members have to have at least a master's degree in the discipline that they want to teach. And that is a minimum of 18 graduate hours in the discipline with a master's degree. Many of our faculty actually do have a PhD. Our faculty are here to teach. That's why they want to be here. They don't have requirements for research. They don't have requirements to be published, so many articles and that sort of thing. They're here to focus on teaching. Now, many of our faculty do research projects and are published, but that's their salary and so forth is not contingent upon that. And so that's why they're here. They enjoy teaching. The classes tend to be smaller ratio of students to faculty members, and so the faculty are highly engaged, with the students. I get great comments back from our students about how a lot of students that started off maybe in a university and were struggling, and then came home to Kansas City and enrolled with us, who said, big difference. Your faculty really engage with us, and I get it this time around.
I just think of, when I think of community college, and not to stereotype or typecast, I think of I think it's Larry Crow, the movie with Tom Hanks and Julie Roberts as his speech teacher, and how he lost his job at a grocery store. And plot is long, but community colleges are really a great place to think and to start, I guess, next phase of life for, I guess, older students, would-be students such as myself. Chancellor James, could you tell me a little bit about your current goals, challenges here at the Metropolitan?
Yeah. Current goals are we recognize that our external environment is changing daily. So we know that we need to be nimble and responsive to stay relevant. So we're engaged in a lot of proactive conversations with business and industry in the area, gaining a better understanding of what their future workforce needs are going to be. And we're trying to work then more diligently, more strategically to make sure that the programs we're developing are programs that will have high value for our students, who ultimately, after they receive their education, obviously want a good paying job, and high value to our business and industries to grow and attract new business and industries. So that is kind of the large strategic picture, and along the while not lower the bar in our academic setting at all. Teaching all those traditional critical thinking skills and so forth that colleges and universities are known for. Challenges are shrinking appropriations dollars. We're at our funding levels from the state are down to about late 90s, early 2000s. And
I assume that's really low.
that is low. And that makes it very challenging to try to, provide state-of-the-art equipment and training and teaching. When your funding resources are challenged, and we have chosen purposely not to just pass that along to the students in terms of tuition increases. Yes, we have, we've had to raise tuition, but it's been very modest over the last several years in comparison to, the cuts and appropriations. So that's caused us to have to be more efficient, make sure that we're putting money, where the resources where they really need for us to be most effective, that sort of thing.
Awesome. Now, Chancellor James, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? I read your biography, and I don't know if criminal justice or surveillance is the proper way to describe your passion or your background. Could you tell us a little bit about that? Did you grow up here in Kansas City?
No, I didn't grow up in Kansas City. I have lived in Kansas City on 3 or 4 different occasions for probably a combination of now going on better than 15, 17, 18 years, I would think. But I spent 30 years primarily in the law enforcement profession and in the national level, working in security and intelligence and those sorts of things. So it's not exactly the normal background for a college chancellor or college administrator, but along the way, just doors opened, and I had the opportunity to come to MCC and really utilize just some of the organizational management experience that I developed over those 30 years, but just in a different field. But at the end of the day, when you're running a large organization, it's about people and setting strategic goals and knowing how to manage budgets and communicate with people and connect and those sorts of things. So there were a lot of transferable skills, that I could bring to the job. But every day still is a learning moment for me.
Now, your peer group, are you in contact with Chancellor Moulton at the UMKC and Johnson County and Penn Valley and MU? Do you guys regularly golf?
Yes. Well, we don't golf, but we are. Chancellor Morton and really all of the area presidents of universities, Father Tom Curran out at Rockhurst and so forth. Yes, we frequently see each other. Many of us sit on the same boards, Kansas City Chamber of Commerce boards and things like that. And I consider every one of them a friend. I'm not hesitant about picking up the phone and calling, to bounce something off of them and ask them, how are you dealing, are you experiencing this kind of a challenge, and how are you guys going about handling it? We have transfer agreements with every one of the area universities and colleges, so that also puts us in pretty frequent contact too.
Sure. Now, can you tell us a little bit about the impact of social media and digital devices on campus? It really wasn't too much of a big deal. If you had a pager, maybe a cell phone when I was in college, you were doing good. But now those tools plus a laptop are absolute necessities. How has Metropolitan Community College tackled the digital age?
Well, we brought in an outside information technology firm a couple of years ago to really do a top-down audit of our information technology, and we were woefully behind. And we knew that, but we needed some outside perspective to help us identify how far behind and how best to plan strategically to revamp and get us back up to cutting edge. And so we're in about year 2 or 3 of implementing a whole new IT refresh, all new infrastructure, and ultimately part of our goals there is to have a system in place that is, we call it BYOD, bring your own device, so that it is friendly and supportive for students who bring smartphones or bring their iPads or whatever, to where they can easily connect onto our network and actually use those personal devices to help in their instructional efforts.
All right. Well, we'd like to congratulate you again on your anniversary. And I just have a couple of questions for someone who's possibly entering their senior year or finishing up and wants more information. First off, stop at your guidance counselor. That probably would be the best place to start. But how many hours to get a certificate or a diploma?
Well, an associate's degree is 60 hours.
60 hours?
Yeah. And then there are a number of certificate kinds of programs in specific fields, that range from a few weeks to maybe a semester or 2 and that sort of thing. But for a current senior that's still kind of trying to figure out what they want to do upon graduating in May, yes, talking with a high school counselor is always a good idea. We frequently host information nights on our 5 campuses, and that usually gets communicated out to the high schools that, on this night or that night, we'll be hosting information sessions.
What's the next information night?
I don't know offhand, but we can get you that information.
Okay, it's probably on the website information?
Yes, and we always post those kinds of activities on our website. And then there's also, we have a central calling office of 604-1000 that anybody with any kind of a question can call that number and either get the answer right there or at least get directed to who has the right answer.
Now, Chancellor James, can you tell us how much are credit hours and how much will they be next year?
Well, right now they run if they're in district, and this gets a
without
little bit.
scholarship.
By in district, what I mean is there are 12 school districts in the area that have voted themselves into the Metropolitan Community College District, and by doing that, they actually help support us with property tax revenue, and so those students pay a lesser tuition fee, and that's $95 a credit hour in district.
Well, Chancellor James, that's awesome. For more information, you can go to the website. Do you have that address?
That would be mcckc.edu.
Well, we thank you, Chancellor James. Do you have any final words for our viewers?
Well, just I appreciate the opportunity to visit with you to let folks know MCC's here. We've been here 100 years. We're the oldest college in the city, and we're also the largest public college in the city on the Kansas City, Missouri side. Johnson County is a little bit bigger than us, but they're in Kansas. But so we can say on the Missouri side, so we're the oldest and the largest, 5 campuses with well over 100 programs, and so there's a lot of options for students to come and take a look at us.
Beautiful campus, well over 100 programs, celebrating the 100th year right here in the heart of Kansas City, Missouri. Thank you, Chancellor James, for allowing us to plug in today.
Well, thank you. I sure appreciate the opportunity.
All right, I'm your host, Glenn Frizzell. Check out more video online at www.whatsupkansascity.net. And remember, the sky is the limit. Aim high. Shoot for the moon. If you miss, at the very least, you would have landed among the stars. Take care. It's a nice time.
I'm IFBB Bikini Pro Cat Williams, and when I'm not working out in the gym, I'm searching the web on Cascade Media and What's Up Kansas City. So make sure you check them out.